So before we get into what you really do, Nitin, I'm just curious to know if you can just tell us something about yourself, where you hail from, what do you do, and why did you choose to get into the kind of work that you do?
Yeah, thank you, Gaurav, for having me here. I think it's a fantastic opportunity to connect to your viewers. And I'll start with my introduction. So I basically come from a small town, and I lived most of my life in small towns and villages. So I have like that connection to people, and also like the type of life that we generally live in, maybe 80% of India.
Mm-hmm.
So my childhood got spent in the bank of River Narmada, and I think I draw my inspiration.
Yeah.
The flow of river and how it basically connects to your life.
Mm.
So, and in fact, I learned my swimming in the river itself, not in a swimming pool.
Beautiful.
So that's make a difference in life, right?
It does. So you don't like swimming in the stagnant water. You love swimming in the flowing water.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I like swimming. But yeah, it's so much peace when you see flowing water, when you see the mood of a river. So it's a lot of connection out there. And that's why I think like we all Indians value that so much.
Thank you so much, Nitin. And what I'm really happy about is that all the people that I get in a conversation with, all the people who are actually addressing the deeper needs of the society today, they come from a very humbling background. I think that's what gives them the roots that actually help them to flourish and add value to the society that they are a part of. So Nitin, you run this organization called Soham Innovation Lab. So to start with, I would love to know more about the kind of work that you're doing, as I mentioned, but I would love to know why Soham as a term. Why would you choose a word like Soham?
Yeah, definitely. I would love to share that story with you. So Soham basically is a Vedic philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
Many people know that as a sound, but if you go and dig deeper into the literature, you will find out a story which talks that when a baby is born, it cries, and it says
Soham,
which means who am I?
Huh.
So it's crying and saying who am I? Who am I in this world? And the universe replies back as Soham, which means you and I are the same, so don't worry.
Wow. And that's where you picked up the word Soham?
Yeah, and it relates so well with our the thing that we are doing of newborn hearing screening. And that is the first word that the baby hears, and we thought like, yes, we also should be connecting to that.
So what I understand is, Nitin, that you're a graduate from NIT Bhopal. Then you did your master's from NIT Ahmedabad. And if I look at your journey, you were working with big organizations. So you also mentioned during our initial conversation that you were working with one of the automobile companies in the country, and you were well settled designing one of the products in Japan. Isn't that the dream job that a designer would have, designing an automobile?
Yeah, that's a very lucrative, or I would say high profile thing that a designer would like to do at any point of time. But there are only n number of cars that you can design in your life, right?
Yeah.
Like it takes at least 5 years to roll out a car or a design of a car. So maybe like 4 cars, 5 cars.
Yeah.
And I think like a human being has the capability to do much more. I'm not saying that car design is not a cool job. It's definitely a cool job.
It is, of course, a cool job.
And it makes you learn a lot, makes you understand how to work with teams, and like you understand like a dynamic thing, a product which is on the road, and you are appreciating the dynamics of it, the looks of it, you are feeling proud of it. There are so many emotions involved in it. But I think I was made for something else.
So tell me more about that. So from being a designer, working with one of the automobile companies, and suddenly choosing to do something in the space of medical equipment, something to choose in the space of research and development. Why? What happened? What clicked for you that you chose that now enough is enough? I need to get into something. As you mentioned that I'm meant for something else.
Yeah. So thank you for this question. I think like I have a deeper association of building things or making things. When I was in my city at that time, I still remember one of my friend, and we used to make these small dams or like things which can water plants when we are away on vacation, right? So that was like a very small thing, but I was like so excited to build things and make things happen. My transition into design also happened like that. From engineering, I was not very satisfied with the type of education which is out there in engineering, which is very, I would say, rigid. It won't give way to imagination. It won't give way to building things on your own and changing the world. It basically asks you to be a performer in a bigger, unit.
Yeah.
So, well, there is nothing wrong in doing that, but at the same time, that openness should be there in education. And that's why I chose to do design at the first place. And when I did design, I thought like I could see that there were n number of opportunities which are there, and you can even not only create opportunity for yourself, but for so many people just by through an idea. For example, what you are seeing right now, and why there is like all buzz about new enterprises and new innovations, and people bringing out new value, because it connects people. It really gives jobs. It really gives solution to somebody's problem.
So I'm sure, Nitin, the kind of work that you do and all the interactions that I've had with you, I personally find that you are one of those brightest people that I have come across. I think it's my privilege to sit next to you. Of all the work that you could do, and today we have got the Googles of the world, the Facebooks of the world, the Apples of the world, and people will pick you up like this, right? You would be given the highest possible jobs in the space of designing. What was the defining moment in your life when you said that I'm going to dedicate my life for the screening for the small children, for the infants who are just seeing the light of the day? What was that defining moment for you?
Well, I think it is more to do with sensitivity or empathy towards your own ecosystem. I see so many problems in this ecosystem. My whole education or my whole skill set is of no use if I'm not solving those problems. Like it's not, it's just like kind of not looking at those problems and walking through that street. That is like the worst thing that we can do to India or to ourselves. We are not defining future then. Like even if we are working in Google and we are not actually putting heat to such things, it is of no use.
Yeah.
So the thing starts from your home, and I'm a stern believer of that. I think I can live with half a plate of food, but I can't, do injustice to my own ecosystem or to my own country or to my own society.
And I would love to know more about, was there any particular episode that you saw? And before that, I think every time when I'm talking to people who are in the space of entrepreneurship or social entrepreneurship, or people who are the change makers, they have an innate ability to identify the problem. And then that's where they offer themselves to address that. They address that challenge the society is facing. They address that nation is facing. They try and address the challenge that at a larger level the universe is facing. So the offer that you had as your own self, somebody who understands designing really well, who understands engineering really well, was there any particular episode that you came across, that you witnessed, that awakened the human being inside you?
Yeah, I would like to share one instance which happened while I was doing my immersion at All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi. So I did this program with Stanford India Bio-design, where we get a chance to immerse ourselves in clinical settings and in tertiary care hospitals and primary care centers. So I was in a child development clinic in AIMS, and a parent walked in with their 5-year-old child and said, "ये बोलता नहीं है." And they were really worried that कि 5 साल हो गया ये बोलता नहीं है.
Okay.
And the doctor looked at the child and then examined him for some time and said like, ये सुनता नहीं है इसलिए बोलता नहीं है. He's not able to hear, that's why he's not able to speak.
And there's some connection to that.
Yeah, so definitely, like if you don't hear for 5 years, in the first 5 years of your life, when the mind has the plasticity to learn language, to hear, to understand, that's how we learn to speak, right?
Yeah.
If you lose out on that part, you will lose your speech. But if you do the intervention on the right time, when the baby is like 3 months old, 6 months old, then they will be as normal as any other person.
So what you're saying is, Nitin, that if we've been able to diagnose a small child who has got some hearing loss,
Yeah.
we can address that initially itself.
Absolutely.
However, if we fail to do that, it could end up after 5 years, it could end up that the small child will not be able to speak as well.
Speak, and a lot of mental development won't happen. So they will.
Yeah, because there's no language that
Yeah.
the gift of language would not be available to that small child.
Exactly.
So what happened then in that small episode? You saw this conversation happening between the parent and the doctor. Then what happened?
Yeah, so that actually really kind of a moment when the doctor said that this child can't hear and won't be able to speak further also, and nothing can be done now. We should just go and get the disability certificate done. I was kind of shocked, and the parents were also in a shock, and they were asking like, can we do something? Like, we are able to spend money and everything.
Yeah.
He said like, nothing can be done.
So even if you've got money, once it's gone, it's gone.
It's
Once
gone.
the time is gone,
It's gone.
Yeah.
Like, even if you have the best of the best things out there, you won't be able to change anything. So the time is very crucial there. And then when I went back to my lab, and I thought like it must be a small problem once in a while. Somebody must be getting this. But when I looked at some 800,000 such babies are born all over the world, and 90% of them are born in the developing world in a similar setting like India, and they remain undetected. So you can imagine, like in India itself, like close to 120,000 babies, close to 1 lakh babies born every year with hearing loss, and they remain undetected, and they eventually lose their speech and development for lifetime because we are not doing intervention with the right type of technologies. So when I realized that this is really a lacuna in the system, this shortcoming can be filled with appropriate technology, then I started looking at like options, that why are we not using technologies, some of the technologies which are available in the West, why are we not actually providing it? Is it expensive? Is it not working? Is it not like we don't have healthcare providers? So I came out like, all these are the problems. Definitely they are expensive, prohibitive in cost, require expensive disposables, won't perform in noisy conditions, will require a lot of infrastructure, will require healthcare professionals. So then I realized that we really need to solve this problem from the scratch. And that's how we brought out this novel technology, which is gold standard, using the similar technology is being used in NHS UK or US. And we thought it should be available to every child born, no matter where they are born across the world.
So you said that 90% of the 800,000 people, 800,000 children born worldwide, they have this kind of challenge.
Yeah.
90% would be in the developing countries.
In the developing countries.
And so in the last 7 years' time, how many children have you been able to access with this new technology that you've developed as an organization, as Soham Innovation Lab?
Yeah. So we have screened several babies. To give, I can't give you an exact number, but yes, close to 6,000 plus babies that we have screened, and we have reached to some 26 babies with hearing loss who are at different stages of getting intervention. It's an early stage right now, but we are aiming to reach out to thousands and thousands of babies in the coming years with our partners.
So could you recall a moment where something like this happened, and I'm sure the technology would have helped that small baby as well? So what was the response of the parents, if you could recall? How did they express their gratitude towards you? Because you have actually given life, you have actually given the gift of language to that small child. That would not have been possible without this.
Yeah, well, to tell you the truth is, it's a slow process. People understand the value of it only when they get to see the outcome. At first, they have to go through the pain, and the first reaction of a human being is like, why did this happen to me? You really need to provide a lot of counseling and comfort to them that it's okay, it happened, but this is solvable. Yeah. And you, even with a free hearing aid which government provides, or a cochlear implant which government provides, it will be all fine. So this is really nice that you have got this condition right away at this point of time. So don't worry. So you really have to actually console them and say, don't worry.
Yeah, it is manageable.
It is manageable.
We are here.
We are here.
There are some engineers who are working not only to get more bread and butter for themselves and get another mansion and get another car. There are people who are doing some really good work addressing the real problems in the society. Yeah. So Nitin, I'm just curious, how has this journey of being an entrepreneur, and especially for a cause what you really care for, how is that this journey of last 7 years has transformed you as an individual? If you look back where you were, who you were, how you were, and where you are right now?
Well, help comes in all form and shapes, I would say.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I think I'm being very fortunate to be in this ecosystem at this point of time. I don't see that what is happening in India and in this startup ecosystem is happening anywhere else. You have, and at the same time, you have like cheap food available, so you can survive very well.
Yeah,
Like it's still like, you know, the idlis are not that expensive. So and obviously, like, we are in that generation, and our parents have already done that much that we won't have to worry too much about, like, oh, we don't have a shelter, or we don't have you know, things like basic amenities. So I'm really grateful to, like, you know, what my parents have provided, what my family has provided, and that has kept me going, and they never pushed me to really, you know, give them another car or another house. They are really proud of, and they have seen like me on TV and many times, so they think that, okay, yeah, he's doing
something
good,
which
good.
is worthwhile, which people really
Yeah.
appreciate, and he's getting all the respect. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm so not in a hurry. But yeah, it's pretty satisfying to an extent.
Thank you. So, two things that I would like to further dwell into. One is what you said, that help comes in all forms and shape. You know, of all the interviews that I've done, Nitin, all the great people that I've met, people like you who are the change makers. I call people like you are the real change makers. And one of the common themes that I get to hear from them is that I just need to show up and I get all the help from the universe. As you mentioned, that help comes from all different forms, and help can come in different forms and different shapes. So let's change the direction of this conversation, and I would love to know more about your understanding of the word startup. Today, everyone is talking about startup. I think it's a new buzzword. That what are you doing? I have a startup of my own. What's your take on startup?
Well, it's I would say, tough question to answer, because the definition itself is changing pretty fast. Means I would say that even a merchant who is there out there on the road selling vegetables to smaller items,
Yeah, he's an
they
entrepreneur.
are entrepreneurs. They
Yeah.
are a startup. They like put in money. They just get these things from wholesale market, and they will start selling out in the road where people need it. So it's basically a conversion of value, and definitely it's a startup. So by definition, it will remain like this. And also because it's a buzzword, many people are catching it, and youngsters are also trying to figure out themselves through the route of startup. I would say it's a it's a tough journey.
Yeah.
Not many people can take it to the last stage. And
Another question is there any last stage? Because for as long as I know you, I've seen you always passionate about that. There are people I've known who have been in the space of startup for the last 5 years, and they're as passionate as they were 5 years back, and they're still as passionate. The struggles were absolutely the same. It's just that the magnitude, the width of the challenges have only increased.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's true. In fact, I would love to just talk about like one principle that one of my mentor always tells me, that it's not about taking risk. Startup or entrepreneurship is not about taking risk. It is actually about mitigating risk. So how would you really look at the whole situation and figure out that, okay, there are so many people around the mango tree. I don't want to pick another mango tree. I will actually go to some other tree and will pick something else.
Yeah.
So it's finding an easier route to solve your own problems. And then, yeah, I mean, it's basically value generation. It's basically giving more jobs. It's basically about solving local needs, making it global, making it scalable, things like that. So that passion should be there. In fact, that should be a part of education. And it's a kind of a thing which is good. Everyone should actually try to do something on their own, because there's a lot of learning inculcated in that.
Yeah. So I'll come back to you about what you think are your strengths as an entrepreneur. However, right now I would like to take a pause, and I would like to ask to our audience, what problem are you solving as an individual? Where are you adding value? What is your offer to the universe that you're a part of? What is your offer to the society that you're a part of? mull over that, because every time when I get to speak to a change makers, they have identified one area that they would like to stand for. And I often question myself, what is my offering to the world? What is that one thing that I care for? Nitin, as I'm just contemplating and I'm really enjoying this conversation, I must thank you once again for giving this opportunity to interact with you and capture the wisdom that you have captured for yourself in the last 7 years as an entrepreneur, for all the different experiences that you have gathered by interacting with not only with the small babies, but with the parents of those babies, by interacting with different doctors as well. And I'm sure it's a beautiful journey that you have gone through. What has been your strength as an entrepreneur, which have helped you sustain this journey and keep your eyes on your goal as you continue to grow from one point to another?
I think I have some basic understanding of human relationship, which keeps me connected to people, whether it is my stakeholders, whether they are my customers, whether they are my colleagues in here, whether they are like patients, parents, anyone. So I understand like why this person is here and what is in it for them, and I should provide that thing for them. And I do everything possible to figure that out. And I think it's a journey, and it's where you have to take help of many people. You have to involve them. You have to actually make very clear value proposition for them, and that is what I do most of the time.
So one is, I've heard you saying is that you understand people. You have been able to identify their needs, why they are here, and also how best you can add value.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So that's what make things easier and also sustain me, because I see a lot of connection happening when I talk to people, or like when I figure out what they want. So yeah, that is one of, I think like that's not something which everybody is doing. They may be having different kind of qualities.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Some of them are like really good at analytical skills. Some of them are really driven by some other kind of passion. But for me, it is more about people. So I think that is
identifying what they're looking for, and then how best I can actually add value to them. So Nitin, if you look at the complete life, and that's one question that I often ask in most of my conversations with the change makers. If there's one thing that you may want to visit in your life that would probably change the direction of your life, or would further improve the quality of life that you are living right now?
Well, I think everything was perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like if somebody would ask me like where you want to born next, I would say India, and like in the same with same parents, and like with similar kind of environment and everything. But I think like there is one thing which happens, that you sometimes we don't get good mentors.
Yeah.
And that is what I lacked in the initial part of my life. I strived a lot, and I could not find those people, because everybody is kind of a bit settled down here in India, like at least in small town cities. They are not too eager to explore, though nobody stops them to do that. And in fact, like that eagerness or curiosity should be there in everyone, no matter what. And that is what the role of education is.
Yeah.
That to bring out that curiosity. Nobody stops you to get a good book or to surf a library. And now with internet, everything is happening so fast, but still we stick to some of those social websites and not really spend time gathering knowledge. Go on like some of these university websites and do really, really good learnings. So I kind of lacked that knowledge or information in my initial stages.
And that could come possibly from one of the mentors, if you could.
Yeah, if I would have gotten that exposure of good learning and like how to learn basically, which I learned quite later in my life, and that's why I kind of switched from engineering to design, and then design to biodesign and things like that.
It's not about learning; it's about how to learn.
How to learn.
Wow.
So I think that is something which we should inculcate, or we should impart in every kid, no matter where they are, and should open more libraries in small villages and towns, and like fill them up with knowledge and information and tell them how to learn. I think that is where.
Thank you. So Nitin, I'm just curious, where do you see Soham growing in next 3 years time, next 5 years time? And what shift are you contemplating to bring within that would help you create the kind of ecosystem that you would want to create, where everyone is appreciated, where people have the access to new technology that's coming up, not only in India but globally and at the best possible cost.
Yeah, I think we have that opportunity with us, and especially Soham has that opportunity. I would, kind of imagine at the same time I'm planning like that, so that we can make use of this time. So in India is very strategically placed right now. We have the right kind of education, right kind of manpower. We often talk about it, and but we really need to know how to utilize it. If we won't utilize it, it becomes like a major problem for us also. So Soham is kind of just an example, and we are a very small entity right now. But definitely, I want it to grow to a level where we can make similar technologies or enable so many other entrepreneurs to make such technologies, bring them out to the market, work on new business models, and also kind of involve parents, people, stakeholders, public policymakers to create those niche technologies and services.
So it's not only about creating a product, it's also about able to influence the complete ecosystem so that we can actually demonstrate, so that we can exhibit that this is what we are doing and these are the longer term benefits that people would be able to imbibe from that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that is what the purpose of even this technology is, creating a lot of ripples in the public sector. People are now talking about newborn hearing screening. There are like at least 6 government who are talking to us, state government, and we have already signed an MOU with the Andhra Pradesh government, and Tripura is adopting it. So we are seeing that, that as we have created a technology, we have created that small thing which is creating that avalanche effect.
Yeah.
And sooner or later, it will become a part of each and every primary care center, so as to say. Yeah.
So, and the second part of my question was, what shift do you foresee to bring in yourself that would create the avalanche effect that you're talking about? What shift do you see that you need to bring in yourself as a leader to shift the industry?
Well, that's a kind of a journey. I don't know what is out there in the future, but definitely I think I can improve on the way I can engage people. I can empower people who are along with me, and can let go some of my ego, which often comes in between, or like you can refine it to an extent where it can help you. I think that is what I want to focus on.
Thank you so much. I think this is a beautiful circle that we are closing. We started with the conversation about who am I, and we are talking about letting go of the ego. I don't think that there could be a better ending to that. So without taking much of your time, Nitin, thank you so much. I would like to thank you for spending time and helping us know the kind of good work that you're doing